to Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. It's the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Today on Around Kansas, we're in the beautiful prairie of Kansas, more specifically, the Tallgrass Prairie National Preserve, located right off Highway 177 in Strong City. This is a must-see for nature lovers and history buffs alike. So enjoy it as we take you around and show off this Kansas treasure. Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers. Around Kansas, brought to you by Tarwater Farm and Home. Come on by, we'll treat you like family. A beautiful day on the prairie. And speaking of prairie, we're at the Tallgrass National Prairie Preserve, which is just a little bit north of Strong City. And we're talking with Heather Brown. And Heather, tell us a little bit about how all this got started.
Well, a lot of people came together with the idea of building, preserving the Tallgrass Prairie, and that's what we're here for, what we're about. Preserving and protecting not only for this generation, but for the future generations as well. Because at one time there was over 170 million tallgrass prairie acres in this country. Today there's less than 4% remaining. So it's really important. And that was one key element that was missing from the National Park Service. And so basically in 1996, we became part of the National Park Service, and we've been with them ever since.
Yeah, this was created in 1996, but am I correct in saying that then Senator Nancy Landon Kassebaum was very instrumental in getting the movement started?
You are correct. She was the one that helped draft the legislation, and this kind of had a rocky start, but we're much better than what we were in those times. A lot of people had a lot of uncertainties, the fear of the unknown, and everyone can understand that because the idea of the preserve was over 100,000 acres. And of course, this preserve is just under 11. This ranch is just under 11,000. So locally, people would think, well, where is the rest of this acreage coming from? So a lot of the fear of the unknown. But Nancy Landon Kassebaum, Baker, she and other folks were involved with writing legislation to kind of allay those fears that were coming forth. And a couple of those things is that the National Park Service, the federal government, will never own any more than 180 acres.
Wow. And
even today we only have about 35 acres, and that's really probably all we're ever going to really need, especially now that we have the visitor center.
Now, it's also interesting that we were looking at a map of the many trails that are here. There are all kinds of trails, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about that.
This hog is Hanover hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
This segment is brought to you by Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, just a short drive down the Yellow Brick Road. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the trails. How many miles of trails are there here?
Well, you're not going to believe this, but there's over 40 miles of hiking trails out here, and there's something pretty much different everywhere you go.
Wow. So somebody could literally come here and spend a week?
They could.
Really? So the Tallgrass Prairie itself, right now we're here in early spring, and the grass is beginning to grow, and is there a particular height that the tallgrass gets to?
It does, and I'm glad you asked that, because that's probably the most important question, or the often asked question that we receive every day is, your Tallgrass Prairie National Preserve, where's the tall grass? Well, Mother Nature doesn't work quite like that. It takes a full season for it to reach its height, and in a good year, when we have enough moisture, in the fall, in the upland prairie, it will reach about waist high. In the bottomland prairie, often it will reach over your head.
Yeah.
But it takes a full season. Think of it as being tall in the fall.
Okay, great. When we come back, we're going to take some more tour of this preserve.
Hey folks, it's Dr. Dan from Doc Talk and Ag AM in Kansas, and that's my farm. Be sure to stop in and join us at the Kansas State Fair. We're going to be down there, we're going to be walking around, we're going to be in the birthing center. Join us, come say hi, we can't wait to see you.
Turn to a Central National Bank Ag Professional. You'll be in good company. They'll help you track expense lines, manage variable input costs, assess ground agreements, pick a crop protection plan. These times demand Ag Professionals. Central National Bank. You could profit from what they know. Ag operations run better on Central Time.
Central National Bank, money for life.
Member FDIC in your hometown since 1884.
Around Kansas, brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook, or visit us online at sftmeats.com. We're in front of the barn, but it really doesn't do justice as to its size, so let's say we go inside, take a look. I must tell you, the TV camera is really not going to do justice to the enormity of this particular barn, but tell us a little bit more about this barn.
Well, it was originally built in 1882, and it is, like you said, it's a magnificent piece of cultural history here. There's 3 floors, and the entire barn measures 110 feet by 60 feet. So that's the massive size of this barn. It's been used differently down through the years. Like I said, Mr. Jones started here earlier on in 1878, but he started building the barn in 1881. It was completed in 1882. As we were coming through, we saw the ramps outside where actually the wagons could come up to the ramps, drive up and go into the top layer. And when Mr. Jones had the barn originally built, it was all open upstairs. So they stored hay, which was loosely stored hay, and they also had 1 grain bin up there as well. So you could go up and enter and then go out the outside through the other door. So it's all one big open space, but it's not that way today. The barn's been retrofitted over the years according to who was using it and owned the property at the time.
What's fascinating is this barn is completely built of native stone, is that correct?
That's correct. It's from the Funston layer of limestone, and he actually built it using the resources, natural resources from his ranch. So what you see, it's all original building, and I would have loved to have been here when it was being built back in 1882.
Yeah. Any idea how many people it took to build this?
Well, that's a great point, because our historic newspapers, we learn a lot from them. It's amazing what is being reported. It actually talks about 20 men working around the clock building these buildings. And so you imagine what it was like. This was before the electricity came in. So much activity that people passing by thought that they had already made it to Strong City and tried to put up here for the night. So lanterns and a lot of activity. So roughly 20 people.
20 people, wow. Like I say, you got to come see this thing. We'll be back.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Welcome to the Willie Sells Amphitheater in historic Topeka Cemetery. Isn't this spot just made for a show? Well, September 6th and 7th, that's exactly what you're going to get. On September 6th, we're going to have the screening of The Road to Valhalla, the Civil War documentary from director Ken Spurgeon and Lone Chimney Films. On September 7th, we're going to have music in the cemetery. We're going to have traditional, bluegrass, and blues, and you're going to love it. Now find us on Facebook to get all the details. The Saturday night event, there is a $5 admission unless you're friends of the cemetery, and then you get in free. On Sunday, everything is free. Saturday night, we'll have reenactors on hand. Sunday, it's all about honoring the life of Arthur Capper. And he is, of course, a permanent resident here at Topeka Cemetery. We're so proud of him. Look forward to seeing you then.
American innovation is being driven in places you might not expect by people like Brent Hayek, an Oklahoma family farmer, who recently set a world land speed record in a Ford Super Duty pickup truck powered by renewable B20 biodiesel. Advanced performance is here, now, putting America on the fast track to more jobs and energy independence. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Hey folks, it's Dr. Dan from Doc Talk and Ag AM in Kansas, and that's my farming. Be sure to stop in and join us at the Kansas State Fair. We're going to be down there, we're going to be walking around, we're going to be in the birthing center. Join us, come say hi, we can't wait to see you.
Around Kansas, brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Now, as you had said, there's like 11,000 acres here. Well, as you can see behind us, this is the bottomland that you talked about. Tell us about that.
Sure. You know, we have upland prairie and we have bottomland prairie as well. And the entire preserve, if you were to look at it, it looks like a giant capital letter L. But when Mr. Jones was here, you know, he started out with basically 160 acres right across the road here. And he grew his ranch to 7,000 acres. But our future plans is actually to put back a small portion of the cultural landscape that he had. He named his ranch the Spring Hill Farm and Stock Ranch. So it's a farm and a ranch. He farmed in the bottomland, which is basically the area just adjacent to a river or a stream because of the deep soils. But he also had the upland prairie here too, so he can actually graze cattle on the grass. So if you were to imagine, right across here, he had orchards and vineyards and gardens. We're hoping to put some of that cultural landscape back, but he also farmed here in the bottomland, which he grew corn and wheat, barley, and basically crops, row crops. And he also had potatoes, Irish potatoes. You know, it was quite an amazing place. And that's again all from the census records that we have.
Wow.
So yeah.
Okay, we're moving closer to the house, and one house in particular we're going to stop at is the outhouse. Come on. And here we are. We're at the all-important outhouse.
Well, actually, we call it Little Privy on the Prairie. So, but it has a couple of unique features. Of course, number one, it is made of limestone, which most outhouses were out of wood, but obviously it was built to last. And it also has 3 holes, which is very unusual. So people often come to just see that as well.
Another unique structure, of course, made of limestone, and it is?
It's called the curing house. It's different. It's not really a smokehouse. They're actually using salt brine to actually cure meat, and then in the rafters there are places where you can actually hang hams and things.
Up behind us here is the ice house, again limestone, but tell us about the ice house.
Well, it's a very unique feature here to this ranch. Mr. Jones was wealthy enough he could actually have ice year-round, which is often unheard of. So what he would do is take the ice from the Cottonwood River and then pack it in sawdust and also prairie hay. And then as needed, he would go up to the ice house and take off what he needed.
Well, and I see we're kind of in the midst of some tall grass here.
Tall grass.
Another interesting feature here is the chicken house.
It is. It's quite a sight. It's great because it actually blends in with the landscape, and you'll see the sod roof on top. We use that actually in our visitor center, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But this is kind of like the Cadillac chicken house. Inside, it actually, the windows are in the front, and it actually has vents in the tops for airflow, for better egg production. So he thought of everything, Mr. Jones did.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484. Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
Welcome to the Willie Sells Amphitheater in historic Topeka Cemetery. Isn't this spot just made for a show? Well, September 6th and 7th, that's exactly what you're going to get. On September 6th, we're going to have the screening of The Road to Valhalla, the Civil War documentary from director Ken Spurgeon and Lone Chimney Films. On September 7th, we're going to have music in the cemetery. We're going to have traditional, bluegrass, and blues, and you're going to love it. Now find us on Facebook to get all the details. The Saturday night event, there is a $5 admission unless you're friends of the cemetery, and then you get in free. On Sunday, everything is free. Saturday night, we'll have reenactors on hand. Sunday, it's all about honoring the life of Arthur Capper. And he is, of course, a permanent resident here at Topeka Cemetery. We're so proud of him. Look forward to seeing you then.
Tar Waters has what you need for all seasons for around the farm and home. Working, hunting, growing, feeding, snow removal, even fun for the kids. And a service department with experienced techs to help keep your equipment in top running condition. Tar Waters has a huge selection and the best prices. Tar Water Farm and Home, family owned and operated since 1978. They have what you need.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Hello friends, I'm Ernie Rodina.
And I'm Dawn Dawson with the Better Horses Radio Show.
For over 9 years, we've been bringing the Better Horses Radio Show to markets all across the Midwest. We talk about God, lots about horses.
We talk about cows, we talk about horse health, we talk to top trainers, and we even talk about Roy Rogers.
We're having a blast with Better Horses Radio Show and would love to take it to a market near you.
So visit our website at betterhorsesradio.com and let us or your local radio station know you'd like to hear it in your area.
The Better Horses Radio Show is unbelievable.
This segment is brought to you by Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, just a short drive down the Yellow Brick Road. Here we are in front of the grand old house, and maybe the camera will show you 1881.
It was built and finished in 1881, but 2 years after Mr. Jones arrived, he started building this massive structure. So in late 1880, he started with the 20 men working around the clock that we talked about earlier. And by late 1881, it was complete. But it's quite a showpiece.
Yeah, tell us about some of the rooms in it, and there are 3 stories or 4?
Well, it's basically 4 levels. 11 rooms, 4 levels. It's also the Second Empire style architecture. It also mimics what you'll see at the courthouse. The courthouse was built first in 1873, but this was built later by the same architect, same builder, David Rediger. Inside, you're going to see 2 parlors in the front of the house, a little foyer in the middle, and then you'd go up a short step layer to the kitchen area that was originally there. Then upstairs you'd have the dining room, the butler's pantry, the living room space, and then on the very top floor there were 3 bedrooms and a bathtub area. Not a toilet, which we saw the toilet outside, but a bathtub area inside.
I would think that where this house sits up on the hill, and from the bottoms, that especially in the summer it would be nice and cool with the breeze.
It is very cool out here. There's always a breeze blowing, as you can see today. But the house actually sported a skylight, so that helped draw the hot air from downstairs and up and out through the house. There's quite a ventilation system through the house.
Well, I know when I walked through it, started at the bottom, and by the time got to the top there was a huge temperature change.
There is a difference in the temperatures. You'll see that. And a lot of times you'd think that limestone would be a really good insulator. It's really actually not. In the summertime it does actually get pretty hot downstairs, and in the wintertime it does get pretty cool down there as well. But again, it's that whole ventilation system. Again, he utilized his resources and the knowledge base for the time.
Well, that's something, because there's a story in the house about the cistern that's here and the spring water and how it was used. Can you kind of elaborate on that?
Sure. Mr. Jones, like I said, he utilized the springs that were found on the hill behind the house. And so the water was piped down through the house. There's quite an underground system of pipes here. So it was piped into the root cellar, went through the kitchen and down to the spring room, which was basically their refrigerator room. And from the old newspapers, it actually talks about being vessels of milk, butter, and cheese being inside the root cellar, or the spring room. And then from there, the water flowed down and around, went into a cistern, and then it was collected there, went down on this layer right here, which went right into the fountain, which is where the little girl actually held goldfish. But from that point, it went down around into the orchards that were down here in the bottom of it. Quite an
Hey folks, it's Dr. Dan from Doc Talk and Ag AM in Kansas, and that's my farm. be sure to stop in and join us at the Kansas State Fair. We're going to be down there, we're going to be walking around, we're going to be in the birthing center. Join us, come say hi, we can't wait to see you.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484.
Welcome to the Willie Sells Amphitheater in historic Topeka Cemetery. Isn't this spot just made for a show? Well, September 6th and 7th, that's exactly what you're going to get. On September 6th, we're going to have the screening of The Road to Valhalla, the Civil War documentary from director Ken Spurgeon and Lone Chimney Films. On September 7th, we're going to have music in the cemetery. We're going to have traditional, bluegrass, and blues, and you're going to love it. Now find us on Facebook to get all the details. The Saturday night event, there is a $5 admission unless you're friends of the cemetery, and then you get in free. On Sunday, everything is free. Saturday night, we'll have reenactors on hand. Sunday, it's all about honoring the life of Arthur Capper. And he is, of course, a permanent resident here at Topeka Cemetery. We're so proud of him. Look forward to seeing you then.
This is the fast track to more jobs and America's energy independence. Advanced performance is here now. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information. Around Kansas, brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. What a fascinating place this is, but we also need to locate it for people. So where is it in this vast prairie?
Sure. We are located 2 miles north of the intersection of Highway 50 and 177, which is also the Flint Hills National Scenic Byway, or roughly 16 miles west of Emporia, Kansas, and then 2 miles north up the road.
Okay. And Council Grove is what, another 13 or so?
Yeah, 17 miles to the north.
Okay, and behind us here, that's where everybody starts?
That's where they come to see, basically come first to become oriented to the ranch and to the prairie. As you can see, the landscape, the building blends right into the landscape, and that was what it was built with in mind. So when you come into the breezeway, turn left, you go into the south side of the building, and that's our visitor center. The north side is basically offices.
There's another feature here at the reserve, and that's buffalo, or is it bison?
Actually, it's bison. Buffalo refer to water buffalo. But buffalo is a slang term for bison. But it's interesting because we actually have a small herd. We're developing a small herd. Right now there are 20 head, and we just recently had a baby. So that's something pretty great to see here on the landscape.
Great.
We also have bus tours, especially on weekends. People can come out and take a bus tour, or they can go on their own and hike.
So again, people can come here for a couple hours, couple days, couple weeks.
Yeah, it just depends on what you have time for. But like I said earlier, there's something here for everyone.
So there you have it, a small video tour of this prairie preserve. It's yours, but you really need to come here and see it to appreciate its grandeur, its enormity, its quietness, its beauty. It's Kansas. Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome to Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Holly, ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. We're the best part of Dorothy's dream. We're the best part